Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, you're a bit more lively now, that's good. I want to, before we introduce our topic and why we're going to look at this incredibly beautiful, and I use the word beautiful not lightly, beautiful and inspiring subject that we're going to deal with today. I want first and foremost, and I do this for my benefit, not anyone else's, I'm asking myself the question, why am I here? What am I doing in this place today? Have I come to socialize? Have I come to hang out with friends? Is it because I have nothing better to do? Am I looking to get married, so I'm hoping maybe somebody I'll meet in the corridor afterwards, in the mosque? Or am I here for the sake of Allah? If the last is the answer, we're in a good place. And I say this genuinely for me first. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in a hadith Qudsi, roughly translated, that I'm so self-sufficient, I'm not in need of any associate. So anyone who does a deed for someone else's sake as well as my sake, can you still hear me? For someone else's sake as well as my sake, I will reject it to the one he associates with. So we need to all renew our intentions, myself before anyone else, that the reason we have come today is purely for the sake of Allah. Now, how have we come purely for the sake of Allah? Of course, there is the obvious one. The obvious one is that we come to learn about the Deen of al-Islam through the great people that we will hear about today, inshaAllah. And if we narrow that down a little bit more, there's something amazing. We all know that part of our Deen makes it compulsory to love Allah and love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And there were no people who loved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam more than the people we're going to talk about today. So in getting to know them, getting to understand a little bit about these 10 who are promised paradise, the al-Mubasharun, those who are given news of Jannah in their lifetime, in getting to know a little bit more about them, inshallah, our love for them will grow, and therefore our love for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will grow. Does that sound good? Alhamdulillah. So we first renew our intentions, we remind ourselves why we're here, and then inshallah we will begin looking at these people. I just mentioned something important. That these are the lovers, the true lovers of Rasulullah. These are the people who carried the Deen to us. It is impossible for hadith to have reached us without first having gone through a Sahaba, right? Not necessarily just these 10, but through Sahaba. For a hadith to have any veracity, it has to have come through a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah be pleased with them. Similarly, have we ever wondered? The Quran. The Quran was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and written and transmitted by whom? The companions of Rasulullah. So with that in mind, if we think about this is our purpose, this is what we've come here to do, I'm going to explain what I hope to do with all of us here today, inshallah. I don't want it to be a history lesson, purely, because you can go away and you can get much better books than anything I can speak to you about today, about the history and the detail of the lives of the al-Mubasharun. Instead, what I want to do is pick out some nuggets, some gems, some lessons that we can all learn. It's no good looking at the life of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and saying, well, that was really interesting, and having no impact on our lives. Remember, we said our intention for being here, inshallah, is for the sake of Allah. And if it's for the sake of Allah, therefore we need to make some benefit from it, some improvement from it, something we go away and implement in our lives. So with your permission, and I will ask you genuinely, with your permission, I don't want to just talk about history. Do I have your ijazah to try and inshallah make some of it relevant for us today? Do I have your permission? Yes. Alhamdulillah. Only one brother said no. We'll talk afterwards, inshallah. He didn't really have his wife. So with that in mind, that we hope inshallah to learn some lessons, to derive some benefits about these amazing, incredible people. We will begin with the most amazing and most incredible of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, I'm going to go further than that statement. I'm going to say Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu was the most amazing How do we know? Because Rasulullah said that the best of the people are the Anbiya of Allah. We have no doubt in that. And after that, the best of the people are the companions of Rasulullah and the best of the companions of Rasulullah according to Rasulullah himself is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. You accept the statement? Good. So now let's look at the best of the best, inshallah. Let's begin with a little bit of historical stuff, and then I want to go straight into some lessons that we learned from his life. His name. We all know the name of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Sometimes, especially amongst our youngsters, and many of us even who are elderly, we forget the names of the companions. We just know their kunyas. His name was not Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. His name, rather, was, in full name, his name was Ibn Abu Quhafa. His father's name was Abu Quhafa. That was his kunya. His father's name was Uthman. Abdullah ibn Abi Quhafa. It's a tongue twister. His name was Abdullah ibn Uthman, and his father's name was Ibn Quhafa. It's useful to know, because it's not just Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Of course we know his kunya, but when we know his name, we have another element that we grow love for him, that we actually know what his name is. When you ask somebody your name nowadays, sometimes we forget. We just say, "Oh, what's your name?" and it's forgotten 2 seconds later. Names have importance. It's identity. When you use someone's name, it endears them to you. So we remind ourselves, his name is Abdullah. And what an appropriate name, the slave of Allah, to have for this great, great man. His name we've now looked at. He was 3.5 years younger than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 3.5 years younger than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In many, many respects, he was the first of many things. One of the things was he was the first adult male to enter the Deen of Islam. The first adult male to enter the Deen of Islam. That's a big thing. I want us now not to just, because sometimes when we read in the books of history, we skim over things and we don't give them as much importance perhaps in our hearts we should. He was the first adult male to ever enter Islam after the message came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's a very big deal. The first male to enter Islam after the message came. And in many respects we will see Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu is the first. The first. And this is why he has such high status. I want to pause for a second here about this issue of entering into Islam. Rasulullah about his entry to Islam, he gave an amazing statement. And again, we see things from the statements of Rasulullah about those he loved. He said this, he said, "I called people to Islam. Everybody thought about it, even if just for a moment. Stop and think. I called the people to Islam. Rasulullah has been given the message. And he called the people to Islam. And everybody thought about it, even if just for a moment. Just for a moment. But this was not the case with Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The moment I put Islam before him, he accepted it without any hesitation. That's a very big thing. Think about his title, As-Sadiq, the truthful. The truthful. He never hesitated. Everybody else had a moment where they thought about it. We can't go and buy a pair of shoes without thinking about it. Maybe the sisters think about it a bit longer than the brothers, but we think about it. Should I do this? Should I do that? This is the man's life. May Allah be pleased with him. And immediately, no hesitation, he accepted. And that was the thing that carried on through his life. That was the thing that carried on through the life of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. That he didn't hesitate. He was firm upon his iman. He was immediate in everything that he did. He didn't worry about how people would perceive him. He was ready to go and give up whatever it was immediately. And part of his being a Siddiq is that he never ever doubted. He never ever doubted once the words of Rasulullah. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, which if we listen to them carefully and put ourselves in those situations, may bring tears to your eyes when you realize the maqam, the station of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Okay, so he was the first person to enter, and Rasulullah said about this entry, he was the only person that never hesitated. Now, the fact that others hesitated didn't mean they were bad people. It just means they had to think about it. They had to process it. They had to make some consciousness in their mindset. What am I being called to? What should I be thinking? How should I go about it? Abu Bakr just said yes straight away. Very, very big deal. Now, we've got a list. On the program there will be a list somewhere of the 10 that we are talking about today. The 10 of the al-Mubasharun. There you go. There's the list. Abu Bakr. What's really amazing when we begin the list with Abu Bakr, 6 of these 10 received their dawah from who? Abu Bakr Siddiq. We remind ourselves that Rasulullah said, roughly translated, that if someone, if I'm paraphrasing, if someone were to come into Islam through your efforts, it is better for you than the world and all it contains. Better for you than the world and all it contains. And of course we know if we give dawah to people, they come into Islam, we're sharing in their reward. We're sharing in their reward. Why? Because we help them come into the beauty of the Deen of Islam through hidayah from Allah. We will share the reward of all the good deeds that they will do afterwards. 6 of these people received their dawah from Abu Bakr Siddiq. Can you see a mountain of reward that you couldn't even imagine? 6 of the 10 who were promised paradise received their dawah from Abu Bakr Siddiq. I began by saying about the lovers of Rasulullah. Let me just give you some context for how much the companions, and especially being with Abu Bakr Siddiq, how much they loved Rasulullah. There was an occasion in the Meccan era, the Meccan period, where Rasulullah was being persecuted regularly. And on one occasion he was in the confines, the grounds of the Kaaba. And the mushrikeen, they started attacking him. Uthman came and put a cloth around his neck and started twisting a garrote. You understand what a garrote is? Trying to strangle someone, trying to kill someone. He's garroting him with a cloth to try and strangle him. They're beating down on him. They're trying to make him leave his dunya. But Bakr Siddiq saw what was going on. He immediately piles in. He throws them off to allow Rasulullah to get free from this torture, from this torment. And what did they do? They started on him straight away. Now they're beating on Abu Bakr. And not just a small beat. They beat Abu Bakr Siddiq on that occasion so badly, and his face was so disfigured afterwards, that even his own mother didn't immediately recognize him from the injuries to his face. They beat him with shoes, they beat him with fists, they beat him with everything you can imagine. Why did he do it? Because he loved Rasulullah. He loved Rasulullah, so he wanted to defend him physically. After he was taken away from the scene, completely unconscious, blood-ridden, face battered, swollen. In that state, his mother was tending to him. He woke up unconscious. He immediately, his mother said, have some food, have some drink. He wasn't interested. He said, how is Rasulullah? They said again, have something to drink, have something to eat. How is Rasulullah? In fact, he said to his mother, by Allah, I will not take any food or water until I see Rasulullah is okay. They told him he's okay. No, it wasn't enough. I need to see him with my own eyes. And they took him in that state to go with his own eyes to check that Rasulullah was okay. Once he saw he was okay, then he looked after himself. Allah. Now we ask ourselves today, how much do we love Rasulullah that we would defend him? And how do we defend Rasulullah? How much do we defend the deen he brought? How much do we defend his character? I'm not saying go beating people. I'm just saying, even in our own lives, how we behave about the sunnah of Rasulullah will determine how much we are defending. I'm not saying to anyone, go and become violent, go and do any of these things. I'm saying, we ask ourselves a question. How much do we love Rasulullah? And this theme will go through this list. You're going to see this theme of love for Rasulullah go through this list. And why I said at the beginning, I want to make sure we start loving these people. These should be our heroes. May Allah bless the brothers and sisters who organize this event. Heroes of Islam. What an appropriate time. A few weeks ago, during the Football World Cup, many of our young people will have heroes. And they will know every detail about them. Oh, Ronaldo wears this shoe and detail. Why? Because they're heroes. And they follow them. They wear the shirts, they have the haircuts, they want to be like them. We, inshallah, want to be like this list of people here, inshallah. And that should be part of our niyyah, that we're doing this for the sake of Allah, following the people who Allah loves. So he said about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq's love for Rasulullah that he was ready and willing to put his body on the line to take whatever pain rather than Rasulullah have that pain. Another example, and this is amazing. When the news came to Rasulullah that he was able to make hijrah, migration, because of the torment and the torture taking place in Makkah, he was able to now make a hijrah for the sake of Allah to Medina, Yathrib. He came to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and he gave him the news that you will be my companion on this journey. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq immediately began crying. Aisha narrates afterwards that I never knew somebody could cry from happiness. I never knew somebody could cry from happiness until that day when I saw my father cry upon the news that he would be accompanying Rasulullah on the hijrah. Let's just put this in context for a second. He's crying, and he says, in fact, when through those tears, he turns to Rasulullah and he says, I have been looking forward to this day for months. I've been looking forward to this day for months, hoping that he would have this opportunity to spend his time with the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me contextualize this. Why is he leaving? Why is this hijrah necessary? Because they are trying to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're trying to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're persecuting him. This is not a holiday we're going on. This is not a holiday, rather, this is something so dangerous that if we're caught by the enemies who wish you dead, we'll both be dead. And yet his tears of joy that he will accompany Rasulullah on this amazing journey, which is so dangerous, which is so difficult. Hands up, anyone been to Hajj or Umrah? Quite a lot of people. You've seen the distance between Makkah and Medina. You've seen the conditions. You've seen the terrain. Nowadays, when we take groups on Hajj, people complain on the bus, oh, the air conditioning is not working, or the tires are a bit flat on my side, it's not giving me enough comfort. What do you say? You say, look how Rasulullah made that journey from Makkah to Medina. Pursued by people who want him dead, through those journeys on foot with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. An amazing accolade he was doing. So he was overjoyed that he would have the opportunity to make the hijrah, even though it meant a life-threatening journey. Now I want to focus in on one incident within that journey, again to show us the status, the maqam of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. We're all familiar with the story. I don't want to go into too much detail because we all know it, even our small children will understand the story of the hijrah. But when they were hiding in the cave of Thawr, and they were hiding from the mushrikeen, and the mushrikeen were literally at the entrance of the cave, and we know the story of the spider's web, how Allah decreed that the Al-Qabud would make the spider's web at the entrance to put them off, and the nest of the doves, the pigeons, to put them off. But seeing that situation, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq turns to Rasulullah and he whispers to him, he said, if they just look down at their feet, they'll see us. If they just look down at their feet, meaning if they even looked at their own shoes, they would realize there is somebody in the cave and they would be done for. At that moment, subhanAllah, I'll give you the narration. It's narrated in Sahih Bukhari. I said to the Prophet ﷺ when I was with him in the cave, if one of them looks down at his feet, he will see us. He said, Rasulullah, what do you think of Abu Bakr, of the two in the cave, and the third with them is Allah? What do you think about the two in the cave, me and you? We're in the cave together, but the third with them is Allah. Why is this so amazing? I'll tell you why it's so amazing. And this is the first major lesson every one of us should take away. So if you're writing lessons, please, this is the one to write down. Can I just request that barrier just to show a little bit of that? Why the first lesson? I want to fast forward. Imagine now, we're looking at the incident in Al-Jarrah. He's in the cave. He's just said, if feet. Rasulullah has reassured him that, what do you think about the two in the cave when the third with them is Allah? Allah is with us. Why is Allah with us in the cave? Because we are making hijrah for the sake of Allah. We started our seminar today saying we're here for the sake of Allah. They're making this journey for the sake of Allah. Now let's fast forward towards after the death of Rasulullah, and I want to bring something important to us as a lesson. After the death of Rasulullah, again, we don't want to go into too much historical detail. It's the lesson that we want to learn from this. After the death of Rasulullah, the army of Osama was being sent out. And the wars of Ridda were going to begin. The wars of those who were not paying their zakat. Abu Bakr Siddiq said, I'm not going to let this go. If they paid zakat to the Prophet, we must receive zakat from them. You all know the stories. At that moment, Sahaba were saying to him, don't do this. He's the Khalifa of Rasulullah. And they're saying, don't do this. You're leaving us exposed. We're going to get battered. We're going to get slaughtered. We don't have the capacity to take on this war against those who are not paying the zakat. Even Umar, and this will become relevant when we see the personality of Umar. From what we already know of Umar, we know he's a strong, powerful, fearless man. Umar al-Khattab was a very fearless man. Even he, radiallahu anhu, comes to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the Khalifa, and says, are you sure about this? I'm paraphrasing. Are you sure about this? Are you not scared? Those words, are you not scared? Listen very carefully. Are you not scared? Umar, the one who fears nothing, Umar, the one who the shaitan crosses the road from, is saying, are you not scared? Abu Bakr said something which for me is one of the biggest lessons we need to learn in our lives today. He said, by Allah, I never felt fear after the day that I was in the cave with Rasulullah when he said, what do you think about the two in the cave when the third of them is Allah? I never felt fear after that day. Why? Why didn't he feel any fear after that day? Because he knew anything we do for the sake of Allah, Allah is with us. Anything we do for the sake of Allah, Allah is with us. So when he goes to make that war of Ridda for the sake of Allah, he knew Allah is with him. When they made the hijrah for the sake of Allah, Allah was with them. So from that moment, fear left his heart completely. Now let's make it real for us. None of us is going to enter wars, inshaAllah. You go into an exam. You go with the intention of an entrance exam for the sake of Allah. Allah is with you in that exam. You go for a job interview. You say, I want this job for the sake of Allah. Allah is with you in that interview. You go even, and don't make it just about big things. Everything we do for the sake of Allah in our lives. You got to work in the morning. You go with the intention, I'm going to work for the sake of Allah. Allah is with me. Because everything you do for the sake of Allah, Allah will support us in doing it. Do we see the lesson straight away? Do we see how we can implement this love for Allah, this doing things purely for the sake of Allah, this ikhlas that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu had in our lives, and make it real? That from this moment, if we didn't think about it before, we start thinking now, if I'm doing something for the sake of Allah, how can I fear anything? Who gets nervous before they go into an interview? Or an exam? Or to meet your in-laws? Or anything, whatever it may be. Whatever we're doing, when we get this nervousness, we remind ourselves we are doing this for the sake of Allah. And Allah is with us. And that, inshallah, will take care of our fears. That will take care of our nerves. That will help us in our lives. Sometimes we do things and we're a bit nervous about how other people may see us. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, they may be delaying the salah because somebody may see them in the workplace or the school and say, oh, what are you doing? Are you praying? Yes, we're praying. And even if they tease you, you're praying for the sake of Allah. Who's supporting you? Allah. Straight away we see an enormous lesson from one of the most frightening